Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. 5 for Friday, Benton ready to take a big step. There has long been the belief in NFL circles, one that Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin firmly believes, that players make the biggest leap in performance between their first and second seasons. Pro Football Focus put together its list of breakout players for the 2024 season, and Steelers' second-year defensive tackle Keanu Benton was one of its choices among defensive tackles. Benton, the second of the Steelers' 2 second-round draft picks in 2023, had a very solid rookie season, recording 36 tackles, 1 sack, 8 quarterback hits, 2 forced fumbles and 2 pass defenses in 483 defensive snaps, which amounted to 43% of the team's defensive plays. And he was just scratching the surface of what he could be in 2023. What's his ceiling? It's way up there somewhere, Benton said. But I'm really not looking for that. I'm just keeping my head down and working. It shows. Benton was a big, strong player in 2023 as a rookie. But even though he has slimmed down by 10 pounds at this point, he also is stronger than he was a year ago. It was mostly just getting to know my body looking at my first NFL season, Benton said. It was the most games I've ever played in the year, so it was just getting to know my body better and kind of preparing it for this year was probably my biggest takeaway. I feel like the game itself, physically and mentally, I know I need to get better. But that's something that goes without being said. I was really focused on my body. While Benton's primary position is nose tackle, he rushes the passer well enough that it wouldn't be at all surprising to see him get increased opportunities as an interior pass rusher in the nickel and dime defenses, even with Cam Hayward back on a full-time basis this season. That's the natural progression for the player who just might be the eventual replacement for Hayward up front as the cornerstone of the team's defensive line. But he's got to take that step everyone expects in 2024. One of the great honors for an NFL player is being named to the NFL's All-Decade Team. The team is voted on at the end of every decade by the Pro Football Hall of Fame selectors. In 2020, when I had the honor of serving as the selector for Pittsburgh and presenting both Troy Polamalu and Alan Faneca, one of the duties that season was to select the NFL All-Decade Team for the 2010s. It's not an easy job, considering some players' careers began midway through the decade, while others played the entire decade. So short-term greatness versus longevity is something that has to be taken into consideration. And it's very meaningful for the player because more often than not, the players voted to an all-decade team someday wind up enshrined in Canton, Ohio. For the Steelers, wide receiver Antonio Brown and center Marquise Pouncey made the 2010s All-Decade Team, but Hayward and outside linebacker T.J. Watt did not. Pro Football Network last week took it upon itself to put together an All-Decade Team for the 2020s. Now, we're only 4 seasons into this decade, but that does account for 40% of the period. So, it is a large enough sample size to get an idea of where things are headed. 3 Steelers made the list, all on the defensive side of the ball, as Watt, Hayward and safety Minkah Fitzpatrick were selected. Thoughts about Cleveland Browns' appearance on in-season, Hard Knocks with the AFC North. HBO and NFL Films will be producing Hard Knocks, in season, a series that will offer an inside look at the behind-the-scenes action of all 4 teams in the AFC North. The show will focus on the Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, and Pittsburgh Steelers, providing in-depth coverage of their narratives, rivalries, and critical matchups as they compete for the division title and a spot in the playoffs. This new format will showcase all 4 teams each week. The Browns were last on the show in 2018 and should depict a more professional organization this time around. How the show positively portrays some individuals while potentially impacting the reputations of others will be an interesting aspect of the show. This will be the first time the Pittsburgh Steelers will be featured on the show, whereas Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Cleveland have previously appeared. The Cleveland Browns, known for playing things close to the vest, could offer an intriguing behind-the-scenes perspective as they compete for a playoff spot and maybe the division. The AFC North made history last season as all four teams finished with winning records. This remarkable achievement has made it an ideal division to introduce our innovative approach to Hard Knocks, stated Keith Cosrow, NFL Films Vice President and Head of Content, on Monday. We express our gratitude to the Bengals, Browns, Ravens, and Steelers for allowing us to highlight the exceptional rivalries in football and capture the thrilling intensity of the playoff race within this highly competitive division. Hard Knocks will air Hard Knocks off-season featuring the New York Giants on July 2, followed by the start of Hard Knocks training camp with the Chicago Bears on August 6. Hard Knocks season with the AFC North will premiere on Tuesday, December 3 at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on HBO and can be streamed on Max. Omar Khan believes Steelers still could sign Najee Harris to long-term contract. The Steelers didn't pick up Najee Harris's fifth-year option last month. But Pittsburgh General Manager Omar Khan said don't read much into the business decision. The GM said sides could still reach a long-term agreement. This comment came during an interview earlier this week with Pittsburgh station 93.7 The Fan. It was a business decision that we had to make by, I think, May 2, Khan said in the interview. But Najee's awesome to have around here. Love Najee as a player and a person. And just because we didn't pick it up, that doesn't exclude us from doing something with Najee for the long term. The Steelers GM added, I'd love to say Najee was here and had a long career in Pittsburgh. He really represents us well on the field and off the field. But it was one of those things we had to make a decision on. We just felt right now it was the right decision for everyone. But I love Najee and I would love to have him here long term. Back on May 2, the Steelers declined to pick up the fifth-year option for their first-round NFL draft pick in 2021. All rookies sign a 4-year contract. However, first-rounders also have a fifth-year option. The payout is based on a formula. In this case, Pittsburgh said no to a contract in 2025 that would have paid Harris $6.65 million. If no long-term deal is reached, it means Harris will be a free agent after this season. Khan said he called Harris to deliver the financial news. The Steelers GM wouldn't reveal exactly what he said to Harris during the call. But the message was clear, he said. He knows that just because we're going into this with 1 year left, that doesn't prevent us from doing business with him long-term, Khan said. Harris and running mate Jaylen Warren were the most consistent parts of the Steelers' offense last season. Pittsburgh selected Harris, the former Alabama star, with the 24th pick of the 2021 draft. So far, he's lived up to expectations. Harris has rushed for 1,000 yards or more each season. He surpassed 1,000 yards in the final game of 2023 on a chilly, wet day in Baltimore to help the Steelers clinch a playoff spot. Harris's 1,035 yards ranked 7th in the NFL. His final 2 regular season games were his best. He rushed for 112 yards against the Ravens. And he ran for 122 against the Seahawks. He also became the first Pittsburgh running back to gain at least 1,000 yards for his first 3 years with the team. The Steelers running back worked out in Texas during the offseason. Josh Scott of JRS Performance in Houston said that Harris lost about 7 pounds, possibly more, for what could be his final season in Pittsburgh. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Najee Harris? Leave your opinion in the comments.